first session, what we did was we asked people to just pick an activity they want to, a habit they want to create, and then track it for the week. And nothing on how to do it, what to do, but whatever their idea of the habit they want to do, just do that for a week and track. And the key aspect was tracking it. Doing or not doing was not the key criteria there. Just track it so that you know where you stand. And how does tracking affect the step one was tracking in the activity? How does that affect your output? So people who were there the last time, like Mayank, you were there, right?
Yes, Father.
Yeah. So can you share your experience from the past week till the time we wait for this?
Sure. Right. So I actually picked on two habits around meditation and reading. Right. So one was around meditating for 10 minutes every day, and the other one was around reading for 15 minutes a day. Right. In terms of so I was able to sort of track both of these habits. Right. And in terms of the progress, meditation was something I couldn't do it for a day. Rest I was able to do it for 6 days or so. Reading was something on which I actually wasn't able to achieve a lot. I think I read it for the first day or so, and then for the rest all of the days I actually couldn't do it. Right.
Okay.
So all in all, yeah, I mean mixed bag. Yeah.
So, but yeah, actually, you know where you stand. So that's helpful. That helps you understand.
Yes. I think what we discussed in the first session about taking one habit, sort of establishing it as a routine and then sort of building on top of it. I think that was something which I actually experienced it when I wasn't able to do reading. Right. And second, I think very important point was around meditation as well. Right. When so there were days when it was difficult to do meditation when I couldn't do it in the morning.
Okay.
Right. Like I think 3-4 days I was able to do it in the morning. So once I actually did it in the morning, it was easier to sort of it's already done. Right. I mean, I've allotted a time that whenever I wake up, I'll do the meditation. Right. But if I'm not able to do so, then to get it done, right, in some other time, right? So that's slightly difficult, I think. So I don't know. Yeah, that was my experience. Yeah.
Right. So that was the why the first week was designed that way, so that you understand, like when we suggested picking up one other rather than two, you understand why that happens and why it's important to have one anchor and then have other things on top of it, so it does not feel like multiple efforts, like effort going in multiple directions.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
And plus, you would have encountered other issues, so you would understand, okay, these are the issues I face, which are pretty, like, we are unaware of a lot of issues because we are not tracking, we don't understand how many days we have consistently did stuff. So now you understand the issues, which will help you, this session will help you pick what are the key areas where you need to work on. Which tips will work for you, which tips are okay, you can postpone them for some other time when that issue occurs, but that helps you prioritize how to go about it. Okay. Anyone else who would like to share their experience? Yeah, Mayank, go ahead. Mayank Agarwal, I guess.
Hi, so meditation to start with, building a new habit. So I was able to do first 3 days regularly. Then my workload got increased. So I was like, I'll do it later. Then there's a procrastination, and when late evening or early night I got tired. So I was like, type.
Right.
So I did 2-3 days, and then I again did yesterday.
Okay.
And an exercise which I have been doing otherwise, like cycling for last 3-4 weeks, it has been going well. Like I did 6 days last week.
Nice. So that's a habit which you have established in your schedule already. So
right.
Nice. Okay. Shivani?
Hi. Yes, so I was developing the habit of exercising. So I did well for the first 4 days. Then the first challenge that I encountered was changes in lifestyle, like you had mentioned in the previous session. Right. So I had to go somewhere, and I usually exercise in the evening, so then there is no time left. Right. So that was, I lost the streak there. Otherwise, I have completed, I think 6 days up till now.
Oh, that's great.
That was the one challenge.
Nice. So we'll talk about that as well. So that's part of the section. Okay. Yash, you want to share?
Sorry, I joined, dropped in a bit late. So we're discussing what we did over the week.
Yeah. What were your experiences with tracking and what you did in the past week?
So yeah, I was trying to develop like exercising, journaling, and a bit of meditation. So exercising surprisingly went well. So did it for like all 7 days. But that's maybe because like I was already doing it even before we started. So meditation was something new that I started just like last Sunday. There I haven't done it. I did it like 3 times over the week. One reason I found is that I mean the first day it felt good, but then it kind of felt like it's not making too much of a difference.
Right.
So I was basically using this app called Calm to do it in a guided way. But yeah, maybe it's just that I need to try it more. Or so there's this, I think, one point you also had in the Google form that it doesn't feel rewarding enough or something like that.
Right.
Maybe that is not. On the tracking front, I was already tracking it in my like journal. So as I said, the third habit is a journaling thing.
Right.
So I was already tracking it there. So that had been working well, and it's still working. I haven't been completing in the app that you said. But yeah, I mean, I can do it in on a batch way. So once in 2-3 days, just from my own journal.
Yeah, we wanted to understand both aspects. One is trying to understand you doing the habits and tracking aspect as well. You understand some people have different ways to track, and this
tracking is definitely useful. So tracking by itself is, I think, just looking at it. Like, for example, if I see the ticks in my journal that I've been exercising from last like 10 days, so that definitely feels good and like motivates to do it. Just keep doing it.
Makes sense. Okay, let's. It's 4:10, so let's start off. I'll share my screen now, and then like I'll have pauses in the middle where you can ask questions, but typically we'll run through it, and then we'll have another question round at the end. That's it. Okay, just let me know if you can see the screen. It's loading right now. Yeah, is it visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so week 2, principle-based habit design. So we'll talk about the challenges observed in the past week. Some people said it's still very effortful to do the activity. Some people forgot doing it. Some people didn't get the time or was not accessible. And some people are not motivated. These are the key challenges. Okay. Then, so a quote here, like why we did the previous week. So it's by James Clear again. To simplify before you understand the details is ignorance. To simplify after you understand the details is genius. So now a lot of you in the past week would understand this tiny details of where you get stuck. So it helps understand where you have to simplify, where you have to change, move things here and there, which is what we'll discuss today. So pros and cons of habit tracking, as told by a lot of people. Pros was increase in self-awareness, increase in output, key pros. Like when you have a streak, it looks good. Cons were it was boring. Tracking itself is another task on top of what you have to do. Another con, creates additional pressure. Sometimes it helps in the pros, sometimes it becomes like makes you lazy because you have to open and you become aware about not doing an activity for a certain number of days, so it becomes an additional pressure point. And missing a day makes you feel like a failure, makes us feel like a failure. Happens with the best of us. So that's another thing where we miss 1 or 2 days and it feels like the habit is we cannot sustain it. So those are the key cons we observe. So yeah, so the key issue which most of the people face in this topic is perfectionism. So since we have always got things faster, we know we have to do it the best way, like that's what our mind tells us. So it tells us you can do it all. So we a lot of people pick multiple habits in a day, new habits in a day, and your mind says ki I have done stuff before, I can like it's just half an hour of the day, 10 minutes for meditating, 15 minutes for something else on top, but half an hour a day I can manage it. That's what your mind says. So that's perfectionism. You can do it all, and then fun doesn't count. If you're doing a fun activity, if you, let's say, playing a sport, you don't feel like you are exercising. So your mind says ki this is not real exercise, which is another like thing which your mind is trying to trick you into doing hard stuff. Like it should be hard. That is what your mind says. Then there's noble obstacle. I was busy doing this. That is why I could not do that. I was. Palash, you can give an example there.
So one of the noble obstacles thing is, let's say you are looking to write a blog or you're looking to write a book. So you would write a book only after you read the top 100 books. So which is a kind of a noble obstacle you add before your goal, so that whatever goal you wanted to do gets delayed. So a lot of times it happens with me. I want to write something. I will say I will read 10-15 blogs before I start writing, which is actually makes me procrastinate rather than starting towards the goal.
So another one is, let's say, exercising. I would research exercises. I'll have the perfect exercise before I start exercising. I'll have the perfect app for meditation before I meditate. And that research itself tries to push your activity away. But you're saying, I'm doing a good thing. So that's what a noble obstacle is. Something noble which is obstructing your path towards creating the habit. Then the hiding place. Again, Palash, join in.
So whenever, let's say, we are trying to work on our goal, our mind says right now we can watch Netflix or we can do something else to distract our mind from the goal. And one of the best ways that mind distracts us from our goal is looking forward what's next. So the time when we just start something, new ideas keep coming up and what else we can do. Let's say I'm reading a book, like book 1. But when I'm starting to read book 1, my mind says start reading book 2 instead, which is a hiding place, but it's just distracting us from our goal.
Right. And the all or nothing, which is what all of us have experienced in one way or the other. Either we do a 7-day streak, 6-day streak, or if we miss a couple of days, it's nothing. Like my streak is gone, I cannot do it. It's nothing. So that is the all or nothing mindset. Either I'll do 1 hour of exercise, I won't, or else I won't do it. I don't have the time. Either I'll like read a book in a week, or I won't read it. It's too slow for me. Something. So that is the all or nothing mindset. So these are the key 5 issues with most of us go to, or which our brain says that you should do this, you can do this, and which is stopping us from making habits part of our lives.
So, anyone relates to any of these? It would be helpful for us to know.
So, like hiding places, so I do this a lot. So when I'm reading one book, I like in 1 or 2 days, I'll just finish 50-60% of it, and then I'll just pick up some other book. So I'll think, okay, I'll just complete both of them. And in the end, after 2 weeks, I found out that I have not completed any one of them. So,
Right.
So this happens a lot. And this all or nothing. So yeah, like I had a pact with my friend that we will do exercise 6 days a week. And 1 week I missed for straight 2 days. So I knew that I will not be able to complete 6 days a week. So I don't do it at all. I simply say that I'll start it again next week. So most of the things like I at least.
It's like, Palash, you see?
No, I mean anyone else. So I relate to actually the fun doesn't count part a lot. I if I am doing something and if it's fun, I don't consider it as if I'm doing something great.
Yeah. So this is just to show that these are issues which most of the people face. So if you feel any of these, it's not you alone. It's not your mind saying, whenever let's say you pick a lot of stuff and you cannot do it, it's not you alone. This perfectionism problem is a big problem. A lot of people face these issues. So rather than blaming yourself or saying that I am stupid or I cannot do this, I have a problem, understand that the process is the problem or that thought is the problem, and we can work on the thought. So that is what we'll focus on now. These are the issues we face. Let's try to work towards like letting them have a lesser voice in our heads, right? So again, another great book called Finish. Give yourself the gift of done. So there's this great quote called "Perfectionism hates data because emotions lie, data doesn't. Ignoring data is embracing denial. Don't overdo data. Keep it simple." So habit tracking was one of the ways to have a simple tracking of data. So perfectionism hates data because we say ki I missed 2 days, that means I am not doing anything. But when you look at your tracker, you would see that you are doing some stuff. So perfectionism hates data. That was the key message here. Okay. So now this is something I introduced just before this session, that before we start on how to create good habits, the first question you have to ask is you have to start with why. Why is more important than how? Why do you want to make this happen? Why do you want this habit over that habit? Why is the one which will keep you motivated? So why makes it easier to prioritize one behavior over the other? Why are you exercising? If you keep asking yourself that question, if you skip 2 days, the third day you might not skip it, because the why, the core reason or the core driver, does not care if you missed the previous 2 days, because today is another day and your reason does not, your end goal remains there. So your why provides motivation to seek the most optimum solution in the moment. So if there's a problem, your why will give you that energy to look for a solution. If you're just focusing on what to do and how to do it, if you slack off, you might again need someone else to motivate you because you don't have a clear why defined. So, and that why also helps you frame the activity of what you have to do. Let's say if you're talking about exercise, why do you want to exercise? Is it to be healthier in the long run? Is it to have a six-pack ab in 6 months? And why do you want to have that six-pack ab? Is it the real goal? So those are the key questions which will help you not give into perfectionism. If let's say you see that if you want to have six-pack in 6 months and after 4 months you don't see any improvement, you will stop exercising, which is not the purpose of why we create good long-term habits, right? So you have to start and ask yourself, why am I doing it? And keep questioning onto it. Does that why make sense? If you don't have clear reasons, there's a lot of information on the internet. Let's say why should we meditate? When you have those clear reasons in your head, it's easier to motivate yourself to doing the activity rather than slacking off. So another great book called Man's Search for Meaning. So Viktor Frankl had a great quote in that. He said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." So this is a good quote which I really like about this. If there's a problem, if you have a good clear why, you would find a solution to that problem rather than giving into the problem and giving into your thoughts and running away from the activity. So anyone wants to add anything to it or say anything about it? Let's start off with someone who has picked up, let's say, exercise as a habit. Can you just tell us why do you think you want to exercise? Your motivations?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the main goal of exercising was to just remain fit, not to attain any figure or something, but just to remain fit and make it a continuous habit, so that I'm remaining consistent. So if exercising becomes a habit, so I'll be doing it regularly and daily, and that's the requirement of a body. So just to maintain a healthy body, that was my goal.
Right. That's a great one. So you can add on to it. Why do I need to do it now rather than, because that is the tricks your mind will play, right? I can do it. I have so much time. I can start off next month as well, next week as well. Mm-hmm. Why does today matter? Those are the key things which if you can think through those before you start the activity or before you plan the activity, that gives you an added incentive to plan it better, to make it a long-term sustainable habit, considering how your life pans out, because there will be obstacles along the way. If you have a clear why, that helps, right? So another way I look at habits is creating good habits now helps, and because the quote precaution is better than cure. So habits, the things you do daily, can help prevent bigger problems that happen later in life or help you manage them better. So that is why today matters. So if you don't do it today, tomorrow when there's a new day and you're present there, just tell yourself today matters, and if 2 minutes matter, 5 minutes matters, all of that matters. So just keep on to it and create a clear why. Okay. So now we talk about how. So what we have already selected most of the people here. What do we want to do? Which habit do we want to build? So keep that in mind. And now we'll start off with how to create good habits and make them easy to follow. So this is the concept of the habit loop, again from the book The Atomic Habits. So for readers, maybe you should go on and read that book first, because learning how to make good habits will help. It's a lifelong skill, right? Because then it's easier for you to pick up multiple habits and line them one after the other and free up your day to do more things or enjoy your life more, because you are happier, because you are doing the good things in life. So the time you are not anxious in your time apart from the activities. So these are the 4 key aspects of it, of how a habit works. So the first part is cue or the trigger. So this can be an internal trigger or an external trigger. So external trigger means an alarm on the phone or some notification or looking at a book in front of you. That is the cue. The first part. Or internal trigger might be I need to exercise. I don't feel well. I feel like exercising might help me. That's an internal. That feeling is the cue. Then the craving of you crave that feeling of what you feel, crave doing that activity. So let's Palash, you want to run through the loop?
Yeah, some of you might have read Atomic Habits. So after this, we'll discuss ideas on the same loop. So we can go ahead, Sagar, actually, one by one, when we'll go towards the habit, it will help.
Okay. So yeah, the cue is the trigger. Craving is what the feel that trigger generates in your mind, right? Let's say you see a chocolate in front of you, which is the trigger. The craving is you want to eat it. You feel your body says, "Ki, let's eat the chocolate." So that craving is the critical bit, which is different for a lot of people, right? Some people might see a chocolate, which is a milk chocolate, and for them it is like they resist a milk chocolate. For them the craving is negative. So they respond by maybe putting it away or turning their face away. For a lot of people, that craving leads to a response, which is like picking that chocolate, and the reward is the feeling which you get after completing the activity, right? So this is the habit loop. This can work in the positive habit aspect as well as the negative habit aspect as well. And like every action you do is part of this loop. So everything you do, you feel thirsty, it becomes part of this loop, right? You become, the internal trigger is thirst, craving is for water, response is getting the water, the reward is feeling like the water getting in, so you feel better, right? So now we go into designing habits that stick. So for positive habits, how you should go about it. What we do is we talk about the structure, and then we look at the habits which the top 5 habits we are looking for, and then talk about a few points in each of these, right? So designing habits that stick. The cue, make it obvious. So the cue is like the mostly external triggers initially before that habit becomes an internal thing. So make it obvious. Keeping things in front of your eyes, or keeping alarm on your phone, notifications on your phone, asking a friend to message you to remind you about something, that is also a cue, right? You get notified about doing the activity. Craving, again, make it attractive. So make doing the activity attractive. It should feel like after you see the cue, you should feel like wanting to do the activity. This is a hard bit when you talk about designing good habits. How do I make it attractive? So we'll talk about that. Then response is the activity, the action you finally take. So the response should be easy. So make it easy. That is another key element of the whole scheme of things. So let's say exercising, right? So if people do not exercise regularly and they want to create an exercise habit, having an exercise plan of 1 hour a day is not easy, right? So maybe you start off with 5 minutes or 10 minutes of exercise. So making it easy can be in the time sense, in the other location sense as well. So if you have to go to the gym to exercise, the easier thing would be exercising at home. If you have to go to another floor to exercise, the easier thing to do is exercising at home. So if this part is creating the issue, try to look at your environment and see how you can make it easy, right? And make it satisfying. So all good habits, most of the good habits give satisfaction after you do them for a small bit of time. Let's say for meditation, as there was pointed out, day one it might not feel satisfying because you don't get the reward instantaneously, right? And that reward comes in also for exercising. First week kills your body. It makes your muscles hurt, things hurt. But after a few weeks you actually see the output benefit. But for bad habits, what happens is it's satisfying in itself, like eating a chocolate or watching television. There's instant gratification to it. So that is where we have to understand how to make good habits satisfying. So we'll talk about that. So this is the loop for good habits. Then let's look at the bad habit, like how to break negative habits. So negative habits might be smoking cigarettes, using less of your phone, eating less unhealthy food, all of that spheres, right? So the cue, make it invisible. Hide the chocolate behind the shelf where it's not visible in front of your eyes. That is one way, that is a cue. Like cigarettes, don't have it on your table. If you smoke cigarettes, keep it inside a drawer or something, so it's not visible. Reduces the possibility of you getting that craving due to external triggers. Internal cravings might exist. Then craving, make it unattractive. So make it unattractive. If you're talking about, let's say, make it hard, will come as a response, but make it unattractive. Let's say if you use social media a lot, Instagram or something, uninstall the app and use the browser version. Changes the interface, makes it slightly less attractive to your eyes. That's one example of it. So that's the craving aspect. Make it unattractive. You should not crave that interface or crave that activity that much. Maybe for people who like milk chocolates, have dark chocolates at home. So that craving capacity intensity reduces, right? So it's less attractive than having a milk chocolate which is more sugar. Response, make it hard to do the activity. So let's say for the smartphone usage, just an example, do not have face unlock and fingerprint unlock. Make it harder to open your smartphone. That's one example. Having a chocolate at a top drawer or some place, having your junk food somewhere hidden, with harder to get them out and eating them. That's a response, making it harder to get. And reward, make it unsatisfying. So let's say, again, for the smartphone usage example, when you use your smartphone, you have that instant dopamine rush. But let's say there's Instagram recently has started timers. You can set timers. So if it shows you a pop-up that you have used 1 hour of Instagram or wasted 1 hour on Instagram, that makes that reward less satisfying because you realize I have wasted 1 hour of my life on this. So that's like not giving you 100% of the reward. It's just making that slightly unsatisfying. So again, and also for the chocolate example, reward is if you are into chocolate full of sugar, milk chocolates, and you have a dark chocolate, then that reward also is eating a dark chocolate is less satisfying than eating a milk chocolate. So that also helps there, right? So these are the 4 spheres. Talked about positive habits and negative habits. So anyone wants to give any comments, or after that we'll go into individual habits and talk about them. So just also observe right now all the problems you faced in the past week of people who were with the program, and for everyone else who's trying to make good habits. All the problems you faced in creating good habits should fall in the 4 buckets. So try to gauge which problem falls in which bracket. What are the biggest problems? So go with the intensity. This is what my biggest problem. Which bucket does it fall into? And then we look at how to respond or how to change and work with that. Right? So I'll just go back to the slides
So,
on the
uh,
positive notes. Yeah.
someone said meditation didn't feel like they're getting anything out of it. That's because meditation gives results in the long term, and instantly it is not satisfying. So there, that might be the problem.
Right. So yeah, meditation is one activity which has the reward problem, right? Like for me, again, that reward aspect work helps because as the previous slide, which was start with why was I meditating, that helped me make it more satisfying to my own mind. So that happens with a lot of habits, that if that habit is not motivating you enough, read more about it, of how it helps your body or how it helps your mind, how it helps your life, right? So that thought in itself, okay, that is one way of looking at it. Why do you want to grind for it, that activity? That makes me happier. That may solve this fear of my life, and that might also help your like that satisfaction level going up. That after you do that activity, just completing the activity feels very satisfying rather than waiting for that activity to give you a reward.
So like one activity, like simply waking up early. Like I am trying to do it, but वो कभी हो नहीं पाता. So that the biggest problem is like I'm not able to make it attractive or make it easy. Like, so in the morning, like during the daytime, we are properly conscious, so we know that it is easy. It's not like we can do most of the stuff, but when you're just trying to wake up, the like I can't think properly, and I simply try to keep it just so jate. So like all these habit loop, like I can't think of it. Like
no, because you waking up early is a very good habit. I worked on that habit in October. So I joined the program for it just to understand how they are doing it. But I was waking up at 5 a.m. and so that whole month I woke up at 5. So I just to have that feeling that I am a person who can wake up at 5. That was my key motivation, because now whenever I want to go back to that habit, I understand the key problems I will face, which you already did. So it's a very positive thing that you understand the problems, right? So what happens with a lot of people is they understand the problem and then they leave the activity rather than solving for the problems. So that is what we have to start working on. What were the key problems, right? So you did not feel like getting out of bed, right?
So sorry, so what do you think? Which part of the four, or which part of the habit loop which your problem lies in?
so, like the queue is easy because I can set up alarm, but like it's not attractive. Like I need to get up at early that morning. Like,
So that then, what do you do? Like even if you wake up, what do you plan to do in the morning?
so just start my day. Like just wake up, just do normal stuff, and
Would you want to like watch Netflix after just
I
waking
just
up?
want to like go for a like say morning walk. Mostly.
Okay. I was trying to hint at something, that do something at 5 a.m. Only that you want to do, or that is really fun to you, and do not allow yourself to do it throughout the day. Maybe that will make up. So for me, if I want to wake up at 5 a.m. and I'm watching a series, I'll wake up at 5 a.m. and only watch that series, and throughout the day I'll not. So if I wake up at 5 a.m., I'll watch it.
Okay.
So,
That might make it attractive.
Yeah, let's
But let us
do
start
one
here.
small activity before we go into the five habits we talked about. So this was a very good example of waking up at 5 a.m. Let me run you through my system of these 4 activities, and then we'll talk about individual activities, so that you can see. Right now you'll see it as an external activity of how someone else plans about it, and then you see it in your own activity about the whole sphere, right? And then solve your own problems. So let's say waking up at 5 a.m. Make it obvious. So what is the cue? So alarms is a good way of making it obvious, right? And making it obvious is one thing. Making alarms, setting it all in your Google Assistant. Okay? Make it attractive. So making it attractive would have. So why would you want to get out of bed, or what is keeping you in bed? Those are the 3 things which is making the bed attractive more than getting up, right? So one thing which I did today was order a smart plug. So that my heater turns on a few hours before I have to wake up. So room is hotter compared to, like, it's colder these days. So it's hotter so that it's attractive to stand up rather than staying in bed, right? It's okay that I stand up. It would not feel like it's better to stay in the blanket. So that's one way of making it attractive. your alarm can have so I have a smart assistant which plays one of my my favorite musics in the morning. That makes it attractive to just stand up and just vibe to the music. Make it attractive, and then so if you wake up at 5, you have multiple hours left in your day, like free hours of your day which you now gain. So you can have small activities in the morning right after you wake up, which you would not have, which were not possible if you did not wake up early, right? So like maybe reading, if you like reading a book, maybe read a book for half an hour, read a book. If you like playing an instrument, things which are attractive to you. So as Palas said, watching a Netflix show, maybe one episode of a Netflix show, right? That makes it attractive. The first thing which you will do is, let's say, wake up, freshen up, and then you watch one episode, right? What happens is, even if this whole thing takes 1 hour of your time, you still are awake and ready to go at 6 a.m. and then you can start your day. Right?
So a very common mistake that people do is they force themselves to wake up early and exercise, which they don't want to do, and which further makes it unattractive to wake up at 5.
Right.
If you like exercising, it's a different thing, but people who don't like exercising, they force themselves to wake up at 5 and exercise.
Yeah. So in that sense, making it attractive will also be if you want to exercise, do an exercise which you love to do. Some people like to dance. Play music, dance for half an hour. So making it attractive to stand up, that you've gained this extra time or this thing. How do I make it attractive to get out of my bed? Okay, so that's there. Then make it easy. So again, making it easy to get out of bed. I'll just give you a good example of keeping your alarm clock or your phone away from the bed, maybe on a table where it is very loud, but you have to get up and switch it off. So it makes it easy in a way to respond and make it easy to get out of bed, right? Because you are not getting out of bed to wake up at 5 a.m. You are getting out of bed to turn off the alarm. And once you're out of bed, then your other triggers come into the loop.
It basically makes it hard to stay in the bed.
Yeah, makes it hard to stay in the bed. So that negative habit of staying in the bed is taken care of. So you have to start looking at your habits in multiple perspectives. Try to see what are the negative habits for not doing an activity, and what are the positive habits for doing the activity, and start working on both sides, because like sometimes the problem comes in from the negative activity of which is causing inertia, right? So inertia should be harder. It should be hard to. Yeah.
Last thing, make it satisfying. So I have started to wake up early, not 5, but so currently I have holidays. So I woke up at 10, 11, so I wanted to wake up before 8. So to just make it satisfying, I wake up before 8 and mark it green on the tracker, which just makes it satisfying. So any progress I see on the tracker makes it satisfying.
You can have, let's say, make it satisfying, reward yourself with something after you do the activity. Let's say waking up. If you like chocolates, you earn a cube of chocolate every time you wake up early. If you like Netflix, you earn an episode which is guilt-free every time you wake up early, half an hour. So if you normally wake up at 8 and you're waking up at 5, right, you can give yourself 30 minutes of Netflix free every time you wake up. So that is a reward which you gain. You can probably have a physical like parchi or like small sheet where you mark 30 minutes free for today, or mark it somewhere. So that is guilt-free, and you're earning 2.5 hours of your day just doing that activity. So it's a reward in itself as well.
So what's the main difference between make it attractive and make it satisfying? So
one is before the activity, one is after the activity.
So one example I can give, Siddharth, is make it attractive. If people who are journaling, for example, if they have a very good, beautiful notebook to journal on, if the activity is attractive. Or if the music is playing around, that activity is attractive. But satisfying is after the activity, how do you feel? The feeling of accomplishment, or the feeling of I have done it today, something like that makes it satisfying.
Got it.
So sometimes like a habit group also is like a reward where you mark it, today I did exercise, and people clap or people write +1, great, something like that. Also a reward. Telling your friends that I did this activity is also a reward, right? Like telling them that I wake up at 5 a.m. And it's working great for me, and people saying that that's a great habit, or telling others that I am trying to quit smoking. People saying that's a good habit. So that's also a reward. right? So that is where you have to see after doing the activity, what are the different rewards, how can you make it satisfying about a good habit, and how can make it unsatisfying for a bad habit. So for people who smoke cigarettes, let's say, and you smoke, let's say, ice burst and something, switch to normal cigarettes and you would not find that taste, and it will be, even though the craving is for the cigarette, but then you will start understanding that the craving might not be for the cigarette, but it's just for something else, like it's for the ice burst variety, because it's not that satisfying, the normal one, which is not that sweet or something. So that's also part of the satisfying aspect of making it unsatisfying for the negative habits. So let's now venture into the 5 habits we talked about and then look at different spheres of that. And please pitch in. So we'll talk about, let's say first we'll talk about reading. Reading, right? Yeah, so first we'll talk about reading. Pitch in wherever you feel that you can also include something which comes to your mind. So keep thinking and just run through them one by one, slowly, step by step, right? So reading, the cue, the first aspect, which is make it obvious. So how to make reading obvious? Maybe have a time, location as a reminder, which you already planned. Plan it. This is the time I will read. Let's say link it up to what something you already do. Right after waking up and freshening up, I'll read, or right before going to bed, I'll read. Put it on your calendar, maybe have a notification coming in for the reading time. So make it obvious. Again, another aspect of it is, what should I read? That should be pre-decided so that you know what you have to read whenever that trigger happens. Like at that time, you should not have to run through your brain ki what should I read. That should be already decided. And you can have multiple things but different spaces. Let's say during work hours you have something decided, before sleep you have something decided. That's okay. You do not have to pick, let's say, one book and read it like all the time. That can be different vibes, but you should be sure of what you read when, right? And then environmental design aspect of it, keep a book readily available and visible, let's say on your nightstand, right next to your bed, or on your work table as well. It might be there and you have a break in the middle, so it's in front of your eyes. So make it obvious. And on your phone as well, you can have the Kindle app on the home screen, some reading apps, Pocket, like all these apps on your home screen where you go to read. Then craving, make it attractive. So how can you make reading attractive, right? So read based on your interest and not what should be read. Like someone asked me to read this, so I'll read it. Rather, if it's not of your interest, it'll be harder to go back to that. It's not attractive enough, right? So reading about topics of your interest or about personalities, books by people who you look up to. So that's one of the key places where I feel it's easier to form a reading habit. Reading books by people who you look up to. Example, like I've just downloaded the book by Rafael Nadal because I look up to him in a way. So that's there. A lot of people I look up to, and I've started reading books by them or on them, or like on different sports or different things like that, right? Skip a book when you don't feel like continuing. So this is hard one for a lot of people when they're reading. They feel like when they've started reading something, they have to finish it. It's not like that. When you start feeling like it's unattractive to read the book, it's okay to keep it down, right? 15%, 50%, it's okay. Start the next one which is attractive, because what you are aiming for is to become a reader. It's not to read this book, right? So the target is to become a reader, to be consistent with reading stuff rather than reading this particular thing. So it's okay with stopping one book and beginning another. I have around 15 to 20 books which are half read at this point of time. But I do go back to some books which I know this helps me in this phase of my life right now, and it is attractive right now. So I pick it up and finish it off, or start reading a bit of it and go back to another one later. Right? So it's okay to skip books. Right? I would not have been able to read so many books if I did not skip a lot of them. So I've finished books in two-year periods as well. Like something I started 15-20% and finished it off last month, right? So finish was one book which I did like that. Like I read 15 to 20% of it and then finished it 2 months back. And it's a great book. It was not the book, it was the timing of the book. So that also happens, right? Temptation bundling, have let's say aroma candles or something when you are reading, music, some ambience, have a small spot in your house where that's a reading spot. That will make it attractive. Like you only listen to some music, have mellow lights when you're reading. That makes it attractive. Make it easy. Avoid heavy books to start with. Like something where, let's say, thinking fast and slow. Good book, but I would not recommend it for people who starting it out because it's kind of very heavy on the head. So make it slightly easier, and that is what makes it attractive. Wala aspect will come in. Make it easy. Commit to only a few minutes or a few pages per day. So associate your achievement with picking up the activity or like doing 5 minutes of reading. If you have more time, you continue doing it. That's okay. But 5 minutes or 5 pages, starting with that is perfectly fine. Because what you have to do is, after you read for a long duration of time, 5 minutes, 5 pages, let's say for a month, that's 150 pages, typically one book, half of a book, and you start seeing the results of how you get more knowledge or how motivated you feel. So that is the outcome you want to achieve. You actually start feeling it is attractive and it is satisfying, but you have to make it easy first, right? For you to do it every day. Then the reward aspect of it after you, so it's like progress helps you feel satisfied. So let's say streaks on habit trackers, book read on Goodreads, so marking them there, that makes it satisfying. Adding a reward, let's say after every time you read, again as a small chocolate we talked about, or having a cheat tokens like the Netflix token. Having a small reward right after the activity. So this is also like training your brain. After you read, maybe have a quarter cube of a chocolate if you feel like chocolate is bad for your health. Have a small cube which is done right after the activity. So your brain is trained. Every time you crave chocolate, you will probably go and read the book first for 5-10 minutes. That will be your reward for reading the book, right? And also making it satisfying will be socializing is part of it. Sharing your key learnings on social media. So when you do it, people comment on it. So I do it a lot. People comment on it. This is thanks for suggesting this. Oh, that's a great book. Oh, can you tell me more about it? So that makes it satisfying because you're adding on to someone else's life as well. Plus people, you socialize with other people, right? And telling people that you are reading also helps. What are you reading? That makes it satisfying. This is for the reading habit. Anyone can wants to add anything to it. Please do. Any other problems which you feel that was not fulfilled? If you could not read in the past week, any problems? Where did they lie? It will be good to know, right? Reading habit, guys.
So like this avoid heavy books to start with. So I was not reading books since like last 1 year. I think in October, like I just picked up Harry Potter somehow, and because like I loved it, so like I read it for a month, like completed all. So when I was because I was interested in that book itself, so that's why I was able to again create this reading habit, and that certainly helped. If I had picked some other book, I'm pretty sure I would have left reading habit.
Right.
So it helped a lot. Now after that I can pick up any kind of book. That's what I think.
Yeah, that's great. And if you feel like after reading that book it's not attractive, it's not you, it's the book, right? You can also remember that aspect of it. You can change books. And again, as we talked about, starting with why for your reading will make it easier for you to plan which books you want to read. Why do you want to read? There can be multiple things. Improve your life is one aspect of it. To calm your mind down before you sleep is one aspect of it. If you have that objective in mind, then it's easier to frame things according to these rules. Because attractive for one person will be very different from attractive for another person, right? So that is what you have to see. Is it fulfilling what you aim to do with that activity? So that is also helps in framing that, what to read. So,
That's perfect too. Let's not go through all the habits and take 5 minutes for everyone to redesign.
Right. So let's just go to one the negative habit. Right. Let's run through it. So guys, we'll send this presentation and the video so that you can also see how you can also see which aspects of it you can rethink and do whatever. So we have reading here, we have exercising as well, meditation, journaling, and reducing phone usage. So this is a negative habit. So we'll just talk about running through it fast to how to reduce a negative habit, right? So reducing phone usage, make it invisible. So keep phone out of sight, keep it in your drawer. When it's not in front of your eyes, you don't get the temptation to pick it up like every few minutes. When not to use, let's say after 10 p.m. in meetings, have rules around that. So after 10 p.m. if you don't have to use it, keep it away from you. Have some rules. While working, keep it in a drawer. When you're in meeting, maybe leave it on the desk or something. So make it invisible, right? What not to do, let's say social media. So if you use a lot of Instagram, make the icons into, let's say, 4th, 5th tab. Keep it away from your home screen so that it's not very it's not right in front of your eyes, right? So it's somewhere hidden, right? So remove cues, like disabling notifications. So a lot of apps send a lot of random notifications, right? A lot of apps, social media apps, those product managers are designing their apps to keep you hooked, right? So that is on you. Onus is on you to disable notifications and hide app icons which are not in front of your eyes, and make it like unattractive or not visible so that you tend to go for the activity. Then the craving, make it unattractive. So look at why do you use it so much, and let's say, as Palash unfollowed a lot of people on social media, unfollowed most of the people on social media. Let's say a lot of pages on social media are designed to keep you hooked. Unfollow a lot of them, mute a lot of them. So it won't come in your feed. You will have to search for them and find them, which is a harder activity, which is very unattractive. Yeah, Palash.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry, my network is a problem. Go ahead.
Okay. So making it unattractive also talks about using browser versions instead of apps. So browser version of Facebook. Like I don't have Facebook on my phone. If I have to open it once in a while, once in a week or something, I have to go through Chrome. So it's unattractive to open it, right? Having black and white icon packs, making the icons unattractive. Companies use a lot of resources to make the icons attractive so that you click on it, right? Have different colors on top of it. Have different icon packs. That is something I love about Android, is you can change a lot of the theme, look and feel, and like move things around. So it's harder, it's unattractive to do those activities. Make it difficult. Let's say log out after usage for a lot of apps. You log out. So to log in, it's difficult. You have to sign in, type all your information. Removing face fingerprint unlocks. It's harder, difficult to open your phone. So there's small friction. These small friction points might not feel big, but if someone looks at your history, when you look at your history, you see that you have opened your phone 100 times, and when you do these things, you will start seeing that has reduced to 60 times, right? It's 40%, like 40-50% reduction. Over the long run is a lot of time you gain for yourself, right? So use focus mode. Like focus mode will disable notifications for a lot of apps. That's already inbuilt on Android again. So, and you can download apps on iOS as well for that. Keep the phone in another room before you sleep or when you have important tasks to do. So when it's in another room, it's difficult for you to get, even when you crave it. Even if it is like you have that craving, which is a cue, like you have that, I want to use my phone, even if it is attractive, that you are bored, you want to, but it's difficult. So you get stuck there, that you have to go to another room to pick it. That small friction helps a lot. And another reward will make it unsatisfying. So again, progress makes you satisfied. Progress, looking at how many hours you spend today and tracking I have to keep it under 1.5 hours or 2 hours compared to what you are right now. Just reduce it by 20, 30, 40%. So that progress will make it satisfying that you are doing that activity. Then usage notifications are also part of a lot of apps now, and you can download different apps for it. Please reach out to me. I'll suggest a few. I use a few on my phone. So you get a notification that you have used this app for this much time, or these many times you have started opening the app. So whenever that awareness makes it unsatisfying, right? Because you're wasting a lot of your time, of your life, which is like you don't have a lot of life left. So you have to look at that as well. 24 hours is what you have, and spending 6 hours on your phone and then we saying that we don't have enough time for other activities, that becomes a problem. So having notifications, awareness makes it unsatisfying. and have a small activity. Maybe if you break the rule, like if you use your phone for 3 hours, have an activity like I will do 20 push-ups, or if you say ki for the next 30 minutes I will not use my phone, but if you do use your phone, you have to do 10 push-ups. So satisfaction couple karke, one thing is satisfying, one thing is less satisfying, so total net satisfaction is reduced. Okay. So okay, I also added this slide. We'll talk about this. It's like using tech for this. So calendar apps, smart electronics for reminders and making it easier for doing habits. Fitness trackers to see how much you have worked and trained. Again, creating awareness around it. And notification drawer, turning off notifications for social media apps. And having notifications for positive apps like knowledge, which share knowledge, or mindfulness, or your calendar, which are the key notifications which should stay there. So that there's a cue, visual cue to do the better thing, right? Do a good thing. So, okay. Critical tools to keep in mind. Okay. Knowledge packed session, guys. Sorry for going too fast. Just look at it again. But I just wanted you to, when you design your activities, you should know different things so that next week is one of the most powerful weeks for you. So critical tools to keep in mind. Rule number 1, the 2-day rule. Skipping 1 day is okay. Skipping 2 days is start of a new habit, new negative habit, right? So even if you do every activity, every alternate day, that's still 50% of the activity done. And when you skip it, it's 0% done. So look at 50% as huge progress. And if you do, let's say for a year, if you do it, you are still doing it for 180 days of the year. That's huge, right? So skipping 1 day is okay. Never look at things, never skip them for 2 days in a row. Have a backup activity for busy days. So let's say for Soumya, she said she had a meeting. Let's say have a 5-minute exercise session in your mind. Always have it ready. Okay, have a 3-minute meditation in your mind. If today I cannot do anything, before I go to sleep, I'll do this thing. Just to mark a check, right? Have a backup activity. Reading, I'll read 1 page, right? It's better than doing nothing. Reading 1 page. So I read a book called The Daily Stoic, 1 page a day. You become a reader. So have a backup activity in your mind. So everything you don't do is also a habit. So it's just a negative one. So not waking up early is a habit. Not exercising is a habit. So look at it from that angle, right? Not exercising is a negative habit. So try to frame, you can go in from that direction as well. Okay, I don't want to do this negative habit. Not meditating is a negative habit. So look at it that way, right? And own your morning, own your day, which is a personal tip. That mornings are a place where the world has not thrown things at you. So maybe try to do small activities in the morning, 10 minutes of exercise, 5 minutes of meditation. Try to do that in the morning so that when new things come into your day, let's say big meeting, something comes up, the stresses, they don't take away from that activity. So that is a personal tip, but yeah, you can skip it. And then now we go on to the activity for week 2. Now look at the activity, pick one of your habits. Align challenges you faced with the step of the habit loop they fell under. So the cue, craving, reward, cue, craving, response, reward. Look at the key challenges you face and which fear did it belong to. Take 5 to 10 minutes to design the chosen habit with the principle discussed. So removing that cue or whatever the issue was. And then continue the tracking. And we'll repeat step 1 to 3 when you face newer challenges, because newer challenges will keep on coming. So step 1, see which step this challenge is from. Then take a few minutes to see how you can mitigate that. And then you continue tracking. So this creating a habit is a lifelong activity, because your environment will change or some conditions will change. So the same thing might not work forever, right? The activity, like a 30-minute meditation session might work 4 years later, but right now 5 minutes would work. Or exercising for 1 hour works right now, but then something happens at home and then you don't have that time. So you have to keep looking at it. Maybe now that 1 hour period, earlier it was easy, now it is not easy. So go to a 15-minute session. So that is what you have to keep working on it. It's part of your life. So just keep doing it. So let's spend some time on it. Or maybe what we can do is we can just do the questions first. And then for people who want to drop off, they can drop off. and for others they can start doing this. For people who are dropping off, we'll just send this slide and they can do it by end of day today, right? So that when you delay the activity, it's gone off your head, because you'll have a lot of different things coming at you. So let's do questions or comments.
Hi, I just have one question.
Yeah.
So last week you had mentioned that I should stick to only one habit, even though I had 2 to 3 in mind. So should I or should I not start learning a new habit this week along with the previous one?
So which previous one were you working on?
I was working on exercise this week, and I also wanted to include reading.
Exercise, so there's no issue with exercise. Exercise is done, because I would suggest you continue exercising for at least 3 weeks before
Okay.
you can say that, okay, this is I have fixed it, because you start seeing small issues here and there, and until you fix those issues, and when you start another habit, uska bhi issues will come in. It might overwhelm you, and then both of these activities will suffer, right? It's okay to wait for 3-4 weeks and start a new habit, so that first one is more natural to you, and in the long run that helps you that helps you see it in a better light, right? So I would suggest just exercise regularly. Reading ka what you do is, maybe you plan about it, but that is not something you are putting a pressure on yourself right now,
Alright.
right? You're just tracking the exercising habit. The reading habit is not being tracked.
Right, got it.
Okay?
Right.
So mentally the pressure is not there. It might, and you might still face problems with reading, and you might still be solving it, but what your core focus is on exercising and finding issues around it and fixing those issues.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah. Yes.
ठीक है. So we are done.
So yeah, guys, any other comments or questions, please shoot at us. It'll be helpful for, I guess, all of us to listen to it and work through it.
Oh,
Yeah.
just as like one
Yeah, sir.
like specific regarding reducing phone usage and wake up early. Like you had done it. So what are the exact stuff you used? Just want to know in detail.
Okay, so waking up early, I'll just run you through my schedule. So I have an alarm on my Alexa. Okay. So the first problem I faced was there was one alarm and I could shout at Alexa and it would turn it off. So okay, listen to me. So alarm with a good, let's say, ringtone. Then I realized that one alarm was not cutting it. So I put an alarm 10 minutes before the time I had to wake up, so that I was slightly in the zone of waking up. And I could again go back to sleep, have that 10 minutes of reward of getting extra time to sleep. So that was one small aspect of getting out of bed. Then I used my phone for the alarm on the table. So I had to get out of the bed. And I had a whole plan for the morning, right? So I wake up, let's say I wake up at 5, by 5:20 I freshen up, and then at 5:20 for half an hour I'll meditate. After meditation I'll journal for half an hour. So that is something which was attractive to me, having that morning time for myself, working on myself. So journaling for half an hour, then listening to something spiritual or reading a spiritual book for half an hour to 45 minutes, and then exercising for 1 hour. So by 8:30 I was done through whatever I had to do for my day. Right? I had exercised, I had meditated, I had journaled, I listened to a podcast, maybe on spirituality or something. So by 8:30 I had taken a bath, then everything. 8:30 I was ready, and then anything which happened during the day was added on top, which was fun for me. So that was an attractive bit for it. So that is how I made it attractive. So for, let's say, if you like to play an instrument, you can put that in your schedule in the morning, right? That makes it attractive. That you don't get to do it in your normal schedule. That will help you make it attractive. Right? Create a clear plan of action and look at your plan of action and see, is it attractive enough for me? try it for a couple of days. If it's still not working, try something else. See what the problem is. Try to get to the point of what the key problem is. Maybe it's attractive, but it's harder for you to get out of bed, right? So how to get out of bed? That is the key problem, right? So the alarm problems, like having the alarm on the table, like that is how you get out of bed. When you're out of bed, then you're like, ab to uth gaya hu. That's there. Drinking half a liter of water as you wake up, that is attractive, because when you're sleeping, your body is dehydrated. So when you wake up and drink water, which is right in front of your alarm, let's say, that is also attractive, making switching off the alarm attractive. So it's go micro and then start looking at it that way. When you start doing it for one activity, you start seeing that you can control how to respond to these problems which come up, and that helps you in like defining other activities and other activities in general in life. So that is how I feel about it.
Got it. Thanks, Sagar.
Guys, anyone has any comments on the session? If it was way too fast, way too slow, not useful, anything on top, or any other questions, please shoot at us.
Great session, by the way. Lots of insight, but yeah, we covered it in an hour. So,
Exactly.
but yeah. But yeah, I think for me personally, I think on the reading front, right, 2 points emerged by this session. One was around the why part. So I think my why part is very clear on the meditation aspect, and that's why I think I've been able to put it through this week, and I was doing it earlier as well. I think reading is something wherein I'm lacking on the why, like clearly defined why part, and also making it attractive. So I think these are the 2 points which I think are not there in my current system.
Right.
So that's why I think reading is something which I'm finding very hard to pick up or continue. So yeah.
Makes sense. That's a good point. Like for reading, what happens is people say you should be a reader, and that is why people want to be a reader. But what people miss is why you should be a reader. How is it you can repeat in the long run? So that's a key element for a lot of people. That it's calming. A lot of people read fiction because of it. It takes you away from your current life problems, and you actually see someone else's life. It creates more empathy as well. For a lot of people, it's about looking at problems in your own life and solving them. So what kind of books would help them? For a lot of people, it's like, I look up to this person and I want to be like them. How do they think? I need that mindset. You read books by that person. So if you know the why, it's easier to form a habit. Why is critical in that aspect. It helps you go on.
Yeah, I think that's why, because I think I've been switching between books which have been like, let's say, aimed at increasing, let's say, productivity versus help me do better at work versus spirituality, right? So it's been all over the place.
Right.
So I think clearly identifying the why would at least narrow down that list of books which I want to read, rather than I should read, right? So I think that's
Like
super important. Yeah.
What I typically do is, what is the biggest problem I'm facing in my life right now, and I just go to Google and search the books on this topic, top books, then go to Goodreads and see the ratings and pick a book, and then that actually helps me solve that problem in real life. So that's a big motivation to finish that book.
Right. No, makes sense. Yeah.
Anything, guys? Anyone else? Rahul, you want to say something about this session?
Hey, hi everyone. So yeah, it's my first session, and mostly I like the things that you just talked about, Sagar. Like I think everyone has those kind of wishful to-do list, like to develop those habits. Everyone has that, and most of us are struggling in basically gaining of those habits in our day-to-day life. We start for some time and then we just lose track of it, and then we are focusing on other things like which are more or job focused or studies focused. But these are things that should be like parallel to whatever we do.
Right.
So so basically, when I was just thinking like, so there was one habit that I'm also like trying to create, is like waking up early. So similar to most of us, this is something I think like would be a base to basically this would be a base habit. Then after that, I can start forming other habits as well in the extra 2 to 3 hours that I get for more focus.
That's like a noble obstacle. Just letting you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll start thinking about those things, and also like right now I'm just like thinking about long-term career planning and all.
Right.
So this is a time where I'm thinking like what job I'm doing, and would it be meaningful like after 3 4 years, or is there something else that I would like to pursue,
Right.
or like to start going in that direction. So yeah, but it's good to know like we can use these things also as a base thing which keeps us like satisfied and motivated that at least we are doing something good, like doing some good in some direction, and then we can like start thinking about the mainstream jobs as well.
Right. Like
Yeah.
what people forget is that our life is our biggest like duty. Our having our life, happy life, is the base of what you'll do. Your job is not gonna satisfy that. Like that is also part of it. Your job is a part of it. It's not the whole of it.
Yeah.
So that is where people would typically be okay with giving 14 hours to their jobs, but spending 1 or 2 hours on themselves becomes a big. That is where why becomes a very big point, right?
Yeah.
Will make sense. Okay, Aditya, you want to say something, or we can just end the session after you're done.
Yeah, hello everyone.
Yeah.
Actually, I joined just 5 to 10 minutes earlier only.
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, it was very helpful. Whatever I've heard about the book reading habit, why thing, and everything. I'll make sure that I join on time from next time. It was connectivity issue, that's why.
Not an issue.
But thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So I just try to keep the session in a way that even if someone attends it for 5 to 10 minutes, they get something out of it. So
Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, on personal level, I've got it. Yeah.
Palash.
Sagar?
Yeah, ma'am.
Hi. Yeah, one question. I think to you and Prakash both. For all the habits, right, which you have been able to form over the years, right?
Right.
The why which you have defined, has that been like a constant thing, or has it also changed over the weeks or the months, or any sort of experience to share on that?
So for me, I'll just start off with why I got into this space. So I was working in this job at Flow Traders in Amsterdam, and it did not work out. After 5-6 months, both sides, I did not like the job. I was not performing well, so they were like, we might have to let you go. After I came back, I was like, what do I want to do in life? That was still a question of where do I go. But the point was, I want to be the best version of myself. That's the why, right? If you have that why, then these habits become a way to reach that. So if you do one, then you pick another one. Being the best version of yourself never stops. And then I went into researching, how do I be the best? How would I become the best version of myself? I started researching people who are successful, and then looking at what they were suggesting. And then it came out to me, what you do is a habit. Success is a habit. It's not a one-time thing. It's a habit. Everything, your 24 hours defines who you are going to be in the long run. So I just wanted to optimize my 24 hours. And that is how I went about it.
Got it.
That's how I go about it. I have still, let's say, like 2-3 hours of my 3 hours of my day, which is set. Other things I'm still trying to set, but that 2-3 hours has made a tremendous impact in my life.
Got it. So that's more like a core one, right? I think the best version, I think, which can be spread across habits.
Right.
Is there any specific sort of, or you also sort of identify
Which habit
specific
to
to the
prioritize,
habits
right?
as well?
Which habit to prioritize first, which habit to work on. I guess
Yeah.
so that again comes in from why I started meditating. Yeah, like Palash, you can join in here. Yeah.
Yes. So one thing for exercise, I'll tell you mine. Exercising, I've been exercising for last 10 years. Not much. So, but I have my schedule according to what my motivations are. So my motivation was never, my why was never to be a very good looking person or very fit, as in, not very fit, as a six-pack person, but just to be healthy. And I've seen my dad exercising for last 30 years, and I've seen other people who get old who are not exercising, and every time I see the difference between them, that gives me the why of exercising every day. So just to tell you, there's a difference. My dad is 54, and he does his medical checkup every year, and there's nothing, no sugar, no diabetes, no cholesterol, nothing. But when I see others, they have a lot of stuff at the age of 40, 45, 50, and that acts as a key why for me.
Wow, great. So I agree. I mean, I think yes, I think similar reason. I think for me as well, this year has been. I also sort of spent a lot of time exercising this year, and I think that was the core reason when I looked down, as in how I would want to look 20 years from now, right? Not as per look wise, but health wise. So I think I sort of relate to that. What you're saying, Raj.
I sometimes also
So
have
the
a
height
spiritual.
of my dad who exercises, he exercises if he's traveling, he would exercise at a railway station, or he would also exercise in a train compartment.
Right.
He wouldn't miss a day.
Nice. You have a great example at home. That's great. I
No,
learned
even
more from.
I've started taking a few office calls on phone, and while I'm doing that, I'm just walking. Like I'm doing this walking, right? So it's sort of incorporated in my routine while I'm actually working, right? And I like it, right? So I mean, that's how I think.
Yeah, walking meetings
So-
are great. That's a great way to couple
Yeah.
something you're already doing with something positive.
Yeah.
There's
Great,
a lot
great.
of angles
Yeah.
on spiritual side where I connect spirituality to habits, but I don't think we have the time right now. So we should just guys who want to drop off, please kindly drop off. If you want to hear me talk about spirituality, I guess Mayank seems interested.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
I
I'm
like
into-
So one more request: if you are designing your habits in a different way, if you can post it on the group, how you're changing
Please,
your
please
habits. Right?
define
That will
your
be
activities and put it in the group. That will help everyone else, motivate everyone else. That's the social element of it, making it satisfying. That will make it satisfying for you as well, and for others, it will give them a cue and a trigger, and make it attractive as well, right? So it's every action you do works through these 4 points which I already said. So now you can start looking at your actions and how it influences the world through this lens. It's great. Right?
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you. The people who want to drop off. I just talk about some spirituality aspect to it. So
Yeah, like what exactly is the meaning of spirituality according to you?
the meaning of spirituality, typically, I would not go into that direction. I'll say I've read a lot of. In 2020, I listened to a lot of Ram Dass. He's this great Harvard professor whose real name was Richard Alpert, and who came to India and who did acid and drugs initially, saw something which we don't see consciously, and then he trained under a guru, and he has his talks. So I listened to his podcast a lot. He died last year, but the good thing about the internet is you can learn about it. So that's there. Read Gita, read a lot of different things, try to understand what things mean. So from the spiritual angle, I could connect habits to that as well. What you have to do is you control your present, but you also spirituality means you're not the soul, or the spirit is not in time and space, right? So that's a big definition of it, that even though you feel like you are going to live 50-60 years, but your awareness right now can define the future and includes your past. So when in this moment, why do I exercise is because I don't want to suffer in the long run. After 60 years later, I should not feel like I could have done this. Regret wala aspect also comes in the picture. That's also I feel ki, and if something still happens, then it was out of your control, right? If you have cancer or something, but you took care of your health, then it was given to you, and you have to work with it. You don't regret not doing something about it. So that regret aspect goes out of the window. Plus about that the thing which is like कर्म करते चलो but फल की चिंता मत करो. Do the actions, but don't be attached to the fruits of actions. That's also a habit line which I can connect to habits a lot. Okay, do the actions every day. The fruits will come in one form or the other, right? For people who are looking for a six-pack ab, if you focus on that and you don't get a six-pack ab, you will feel dejected. But if you focus on exercising daily, it might come in sometime. So that's also some way to look at it. That you have to be your best version, and then that helps you like live life in a better way.
Also, like how like in the books like you read, like it's spiritual, like in normal general sense, it's more about like we believe in gods and all those things also come in the picture. So it's more like just you are trying to make yourself better and in that direction, or like it is all other stuff as well.
You becoming like, I can go talking about this for a long time. Rahul, you want to say something? Take a second.
I just want like how this all like started, like were you like spiritual like before also, or something happened then you moved to that direction, or like most of the time what happens is like when we are down by something, then only we start thinking about okay like what are we doing, and in happy times like most of the time it is just like we are continuously doing whatever the days are. Like we don't think that much about spirituality and what we are doing, is it good, is it bad, what are our habits, etc. But only when like something bad happens, for example, we lose a job, or let's say someone like close to us is not well. So at that moment, like it starts in the direction, okay, let's just start talking about spirituality. So was there something particular incident, or like were you thinking about this from a very long time? So gradual.
So I guess that will also include Siddharth's question here. So I'll just answer that together. Okay, my first inclination went towards habits, right? So I was, since 2017, after I came back from Amsterdam, I was like, I need to figure out my life. I need to fix things till I find a purpose or till I find something. At least what I'll do is I'll set everything else right and fit my purpose during the day, the work hours, right? So till the time I should have everything else ready. Spirituality happened this year, start of this year. For the past 2 years, I was working on different habits, different small hacks and life hacks and tricks and stuff. But after I got introduced to spirituality, I was reading a lot of psychology as well, right? So reading a lot of psychology, reading a lot of tricks and like conversation, how to have good conversations, having these different rules in my head and trying them out and then making them part of my nature, right? How you talk to people, what works, what does not work and stuff like that, and then that becoming your second nature. When I went into spirituality, I realized that I did not have to remember a lot of stuff because I could understand why these things work. So I did not have to remember the different, let's say 10 rules, because I understood the baseline rule of it, right? And if I know the base, it's easier to follow these rules because these are second nature to you, because that just makes sense. Why would you do this? Because it's connected to, because we are all souls and we are all this and that, like you are God, I am gods, that's all. So it's just makes sense. And if I was into I went into spirituality day one, I might have been a bit skeptical of it, because it will talk about these concepts of being in the now. Then you will be like, but future का भी तो सोचना होता है. So you have to go all on those angles, right? But when I came in from this direction of where I understood how to work through it by reading a lot of people who are successful. So a lot of people, they might not say that they are spiritual, but what their principles they were giving out to the world were messages which were spiritual, right? They were not. You cannot label them as spiritual. Like treat your employees as your family or something, right? Or as you treat your employee as you would like to be, like treat someone else as you would like to be treated, right? Spirituality talks about that in a way that both of us are souls on this journey. So you are going through your own things, they are also going through your own things. And at another level of consciousness, it's about you're talking to yourself. So there are multiple planes, right? So you're talking to yourself. That's also part of the spirituality space. So if you're talking to yourself, you would obviously talk in a way on how you would talk to yourself. Like Like it's natural. It's not something out of the mind. Like if you are saying something to yourself, that means you are listening something from yourself. So you would not abuse, because why would you abuse yourself? Like that does not make any sense. So a lot of those things, base rules, then that becomes the base of your life, and you're like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because this guy also said it. That psychologically it makes sense, scientifically it makes sense, spirituality wise this makes that is what they have been saying for thousands of years. So science came in 500 years back. Humans have been in existence for like thousands, hundreds and thousands of years, right?
Right.
So those, like the Eastern traditions of that spirituality aspect, they were also trying to understand what life means. Science तो came in 500 years back. So वो वाला जो पूरा, then like okay, this makes so much sense from all angles. Like I'm not just, it's holistically makes sense. It's not like I'm going in some other direction than the world. I am going for the same core. I am also aiming for the same things. The why is the same. I want to be happy. Eventually, every time you go and ask why, end mein you will get, I want to be happy. Why do I want more money? I want to be happy. Why do I want more time in my life? Because I want to be happy. Why do I want people who love me? Because I want to be happy. I want people around me. So वो angle जब है ये end goal तो same ही है. People get stuck on the path rather than looking at the end goal. The spirituality is talking about the end goal and giving you tips ki how to reach that end goal. And on the path you will encounter decisions where you will have to prioritize. Let's say, ki should I prioritize money over relationship? That is where you will have a better angle view of how to make that decision.
So like it's like the same thing, like just like people have been saying that meditation, like people should do meditation, and like we used to hear from our parents, like you should always chant regularly, like water. So those things are sort of now medically, like scientifically, they are saying that it's true. Like basically meditation helps and stuff, and same thing with yoga. So people are doing it since thousands of years, and now we understood that it should be done. So these are two things with scientists have proved it that those things work. What are the other things which are still in a spiritual space, but scientists are like, they don't still have a valid answer for it? For example, I feel like Ayurveda has lots of solutions for many things, just like it's not scientifically proved. And now they are trying to catch up, and some stuff they say that those things are good and whatever. But like, I just feel like science is not catching up to it, and the reason people don't believe Ayurveda because they don't have scientific proof for it, and your Ayurveda is mostly based on like observation based. So people are just skeptical about it. Like, I just believe like in few years, people when realize that these things are like useful to it, then people start following it. What are the stuff in spirituality which is not proven yet?
Sir, I would just talk about it in a whole aspect of it, of looking at different like right now what we see is the physical plane, and we look at it as everything of in this is real. When you talk about spirituality, it talks about multiple planes of consciousness. So science is only on one plane, right? So when you dive deeper, you meditate, you start feeling connected to the universe. What science talks about is this door, this thing, these are different things. You are an individual and these are different from you. So animals are different from you. That is, science talks a lot about differentiations. Spirituality talks about the similarities between things. So it is approaching from the other side. Science is coming out talking about differences between things. Spirituality is coming from the similarity between things. And what science starts finding, has been finding is we are more similar than we are dissimilar. So science started with the hypothesis about dissimilarities. Then when we go about atoms are similar in the universe, right? The formation of atoms, like all that, all this, slowly you start peeling the layers and you start seeing more similarity than dissimilarities. But what we see in the real world, in the ego, what we call the ego body, is we start seeing differences with other people, and that is what causes a lot of problems. And when we see similarities, when you look at the focus on the similarities, so that is when you see a lot of hacks, right? How to be a better leader, how to be a CEO, what a CEO talks about. Most of them will revolve on looking at similarities between you and the other person. See? When you talk about creating a good product, start seeing similarities start empathizing with the user and looking at things from his angle, right? That is looking at like he is also a soul who has different problems. Start solving for sufferings they have for the users. If you don't do it, when you only look at your problems, then you will not create a good product. So look at it from the product angle as well. Like you can look at it psychological angle as well. You can look at it from the spiritual angle as well. All of them will lead to the same place. That is the fun part about it. So that is why you have like to keep exploring different ways of how people look at one single thing. And if you start, you see that, you start seeing those different point of views and different things in your life. So you just that is why I like the reading habit, because you start seeing things from multiple angles. So it's not just your single point of view. You can look at one problem with multiple points of views, and it's easier to navigate through them or accept them at least. Acceptance is also one big problem which we face. If something bad happens with her, it's hard to accept. Why did this happen to me? But when you have multiple perspective, then you understand. Like from the spiritual angle, it is you see that suffering is given to you to see what is your inner heart. What do you prefer? If there is a problem, you actually understand yourself better, and you understand where things are keeping you hooked. Like what is causing a problem? Is it the other person, or is it your like expectations from the other person? Sometimes that is a problem rather than the other person, right?
Right.
So if you start seeing things from those angles, you start feeling more in control of your life. And when something negative happens, you start seeing that as an opportunity to understand more about your life, about yourself.
Right.
I guess that was a long session. I need to stop the recording.
Everything was recorded.